Hi there, chaps. This is Soren, your chess friend. I'm thinking about doing another lesson on the ending. Now, at this opportunity now, we are going to look at trading pieces, exchanging them, and I'll try to make it as intelligible as possible, explaining it very clearly. Why exactly we should do the trade, to what end, and is there any advantage? Because in the ending, we need to pay attention when we decide to trade pieces to exchange them. We have to look at pieces activity, if there is any weakness, if there is any passed pawn, etc. So very important, all these little details adding up together to your success. Okay, so let's just very clearly going for some examples here. Now, if you look at black's position, we have two pawn islands and pawns are connected and it looks very great. It's actually awesome for black here. Now, for white, not that great though, because they've got one isolated pawn, another isolated pawn here, and two connected pawns on the queen side. Right, but now there is another thing for white. There is a very active white rook on the 7th rank, and actually this is the thorn in the back, if I may say that. This is that thing you want to get rid of, so you can't tolerate that white rook for too long. Actually, you don't have to tolerate at all. You have to exchange the white rook because it's a very dangerous piece. And there is one very direct way to address this thing by simply playing rook over to d5. This is a check. Attacking the white rook, that's a fork. Okay, so that forces white to trade off the rooks. So that's how you eliminate a very dangerous rook. They will take, your king will take now, and black is definitely better in this position due to the fact that you are up a pawn, better pawn structure, and you should be able to capitalize and win. Let's look at another example, a bit more complex than the previous one, if we may say that. The whole idea for white would be based on the fact that this guy is a passer. This is a pass pawn, not opposed by any other black pawn. And if you manage to push that pawn safely, queen is written all over that pawn. Now, I know it's easier said than done, but there are some things you could play straight away. So you need to simplify the position here, trade off the pieces, because that pawn makes all the importance, that makes all the difference. So now we're going to play bishop to c5, which does a couple of things. Bishop c5 attacks the knight on b4 twice together with the queen. Okay, so now black actually has two options here. Either move the knight or taking your bishop. We're going to look at them both. Let's look at knight to a6. Hold on a second. Knight to a6, which actually attacks your guy here. But now you're going to go take the bishop away. Queen's going to take. And now I'm going to give it a couple of moments here, guys. If you played the next move correctly, you should be able to actually ask the question to the queen and to the knight. Remember, there is a pass pawn on the a5 square, and now you've got something brilliant to play that also takes care of your knight. So you don't need to run away. You actually maintain the tension, and you go queen to b6. What does it mean? Well, you attack the queen, you attack the knight, you defend your guy here. Okay, so the queen can't move away from defending the black knight because that's going to be a blunder. You're going to win that piece. Very easy for you to win. Therefore, the black queen is forced to take, we may say it. Now pawn takes, and the problem for black simply would be that this guy is pretty much unstoppable. And if you want to add the knight on c7 as a move, that will make it even more trickier for black, because not just challenging the knight, but also challenges that pawn as well on d5. And if that pawn is going to get taken, then you're going to be creating another passer. So obviously you have great chances here for white to win. Shall we look at another example? Why not? Okay, let's have another example here. Now, what do you think? Should we take? Shouldn't we take? Now, the problem here is that if you rush it and you don't have a sufficient reason for trading pieces, like right this very moment now, you don't want to help your opponent to get a very active king. Okay, but instead you got to look for weaknesses, guys. And what might be black's weakness here? And you could try to target and attack it. And probably you've seen it. Is this guy on g7, the black pawn on g7. And you can target, attack, and capture if you just simply move one square up on the 7th rank. And now this is really a dilemma for black here, because that pawn cannot be defended. They might try to compensate with a sort of a bluff move here, saying that, okay, if you take my pawn, I'm going to take your pawn because I'm attacking it twice and you're defending it once. Well, that's not going to happen because there is one very beautiful resource you can employ right now, and that is moving the pawn to d4. So now the black knight has to go, or you're just going to take it. So now they got to go, and when they play, for instance, let's just give an example here, targeting your guy a bit too late for your opponent, because rook's going to take the pawn whilst you are defending on g3, and if you keep up with the trading, that's going to be very optimistic for the white pieces here. Shall we have a look at another one? Okay, let's do it one more time, my chess friends, and then maybe you follow me on Twitch and we're gonna have a live conversation, maybe some puzzles, some games together, some arenas. If you guys come in the minimum number of 4 or 6 players, why not? So here we can see that the bishop here, d5, attacks the white pawn on a2. Now, rather than setting up in the panic mode and pushing the pawn up and stuff like that, more exposure and maybe, inviting the black king to come in closer, why not simply we play a very elegant pin here? And that would be bishop over to e4. What does that mean? That you indirectly stop them from attacking your pawn here. And the bishop is forced to sort of like being traded, in terms that if they take, you are going to take it back, and your position is simply better in this scenario here. I don't know, shall we continue a bit more? Maybe you may want to say, yeah, well, but what if that guy just, moving closer and actually they want to come over here and stuff like that? Well, in this scenario, I would just simply invite you now, guys, to play something like h5. What would that do? Simply blocks and stops any black pawn on this on the king side to making any move whatsoever. And if they're gonna go like this, we're just gonna play our guy here, and it's doing absolutely very well. And you may say, yeah, but they're coming back now. What do? I'm gonna drop this guy. No, you're gonna come down again. And if you say, yeah, but what if they play king b4, you want to come back again? Yeah, not a problem. You can even play something like g4 or f3 or f4. And if you say, yeah, but what if they go on c3, they're gonna promote? No, they're not gonna promote. You're gonna play now king d3. No way for them to moving down the board. The king can't support the pawn at all, and if they go over to the a2 pawn here, just give them that pawn. Don't get incredibly greedy. Let them have it, because you are going to take, and you are actually closer. You're actually closer to attacking that pawn island before they do it. Okay, so even if they grab your guy here, your king will be a bit faster because you're like 2 tempos away from them, and you are absolutely able to get this guy, get rid of this guy, step aside and push the h-pawn. So that's looking incredibly optimistic for white. So that was just an example, guys. So we may be staying maybe half an hour here talking about various positions, but just trying to make it short for you guys. And remember, subscribe to this channel if that's useful, and follow me on Twitch, and we can go live and discuss in a very friendly fashion about the stuff we're interested in, and games analysis and puzzles and stuff like that. Thanks very much for watching, people, and see you very soon.